I got this book because, the cover looks awesome, and I've been kind of excited to read it. It's been a bit on off whether I wanted to read it or not. I started reading it at one point and then I dropped it because I just wasn't in the mood. But now I picked it up again, and I was pleasantly surprised. I enjoyed it a lot. So Seven Faceless Saints is written by M.K. Lobb. I do believe it's their first book. Yeah, it seems like it. You could probably have read it up on the book here itself. It's from 2023, and on the story graph it stands at a respectable 3.5 with roughly 2,500 reviews. That's decent. It's a bit on the lower end for what I would expect, but I overall think it's a fair. People have said the pace for this one is solidly in the medium with 66% and nearly a perfect split between fast and slow. I think that makes sense. It's a short book, but it is a mystery, and we'll get to that because I have a funny story to tell about that. But it is a mystery, and that means per automatically these stories are gonna be a little on the slower end, which is perfectly fine. Now, is this book plot or character driven? Again, 65 instead of 66% said it's a mix, and I think so. I think it's very much a case of the characters are driving the plot whenever nothing directly related to the murder is happening. As soon as a murder happens or a lead is discovered, the plot takes over. But in between, the characters are actually pretty active. And they are actively trying to figure out. It's not like they just dump clues and leads on their laps. They are actively trying to find stuff. So I think it's a bit of both. The plot couldn't be going if they didn't get any leads, but they're getting the leads by working towards it. So maybe a bit more in the character end, but a good mix. Is there strong character development? So the entire point of the book is two characters who used to love each other and be friends. Oh, they were friends and they were in love with each other, and then they fell apart for history, and they're trying to learn to get that work together and get back together again. So there's that's the entire plot hook of the story. Are the characters lovable? Honestly, no. I really enjoyed the sessions with, I am bad with names, Leon, no, not that, that's the dude who died. Ross is not the girl, that's the girl. She's the one I don't like. I actively do not like Ross. And she is arguably the main character in this. I really like Damien though. I thought these sections were way more interesting, especially the start. Oh, the start was so good. I would have loved this to be more of a Sherlock Holmes-esque style instead of a dark romance, but at last, that's how it is. Are the cast of characters diverse? 50% says yes, 31% says no. They are standard. They're not diverse per se, neither in ethnicity, at least it didn't feel like that. But there were, and the characters there were, felt very much like they had a role, except for the two main characters. So yes, but no. Are the flaws of main characters in the focus? Yes, they are. And 70% agrees with me, so that's awesome, I suppose. Now, before we get to this, actually, let's start talking about the cover. I love this cracked marble with one of the Faceless Saints being bleeding from their eyes. I think this would be Chaos, one of the male ones actually. And I just love the symbolism in that something sinister is happening. The facade is cracking up. The guards are weeping as secrets being exposed. It's really good, well done, and it's really beautiful. And it was one of the things that drew me to the book. And then I would like to highlight this blurb here by Adeline Grace, New York Times bestselling author of Belladonna. A dark and delicious murder mystery with lush prose, gripping characters, in an intricate lore. I don't know if it's intricate, but it's interesting. So I went to Germany for a concert. I went to see Powerwolf, Hammerfall, and Windrose. Specifically very much Windrose. And there I have a friend down in Germany, and she looked at the book and went, "Oh, this looks really interesting," and she read the back of it and was like, "Oh, I want to borrow this when you're done with it." I'm like, yeah, sure, you can do that, no problem. And then I told her, and she asked, like, what did I think? Because at this point I was, like a bit over halfway through it, and I said, "Oh, I'm pleasantly surprised. I did not expect a murder mystery. I expected a bit more of a generic fantasy." And she looked at me dead in the eyes and goes, "You should read the cover." And so I did. And it says murder mystery. I picked the book because I loved the cover. I did not read the cover. I'm a freaking idiot. I felt so dumb. I should have known. And it probably says like multiple here somewhere. The youngest captain, he's scared of going frontline, has yet to face Ross, will left behind. When disciples were Ross and Damien must team up to hunt the killer. See, I think that's what tricked me and uncovered the corruption conspiracy, because this down here sounds. When a disciple is murdered, Ross and Damien must team up to hunt the killer. They must face the buried emotions as they uncover corruption and conspiracies that will bring darkness and chaos to the streets of their home. To be fair, in my defense, this does not sound like a murder mystery. This sounds like a fantasy where we're going to be hunting a character, and along the way we will meet people that we have to stop because they are being corrupt. But I could just have read the cover and it would say murder mystery right in the front. So yeah, I guess I am a bit of an idiot. Alright, so let's talk about the story itself. So I at first expected Damien to be the main character and Ross to be like a secondary POV, and we would be following Damien a lot as he tries to figure out what is going on, and it's kind of the opposite. It's very interesting, it's funny, the book, every part with Damien and how he treats people and how he methodically within the rules tries to work it out. I thought that was a really interesting premise, and I would have loved for more of that. And then there's Ross, and Ross is very much a polar opposite of Damien, and she is not working within the rules. And to be honest, a lot of her sections comes down a bit whiny to me. Not that I don't get why she is like really hurt from her dad, being beheaded and sent to their head being sent to their front door and all that stuff. Definitely there's a lot of stuff going on here, but I honestly think she's more in the annoying, and especially in the start, she grows a bit on you. Whereas Damien kind of has the opposite effect, because I think as Ross gets more and more being in charge, he gets less and less interesting. Because I think him being in charge is really an interesting way, because he in the start works a bit like Sherlock Holmes in a way, like very methodically working it through, where we know Sherlock Holmes will break the rules and whatever. That's like part of his shtick. That's not part of Damien's shtick. Damien works very much within the rules and follows orders, and it would have been interesting to see him uncover everything as his bosses are actively trying to stop him. Because I guess, spoiler, the twist is the bosses are mind control / illusions. Well, one of them is, the other one just didn't know. And the entire thing is it really feels like the concept for this book was a murder mystery with a rebellion plot as like what is actually the intention, and the murder mystery is just like the detailing on it to make it not seem like it's a rebellion that is the main focus. And I think that was really sad. I think the rebellion should just be in the background. I definitely think they could be doing stuff, but I don't think they should be doing this much. Like, it's easy to criticize. It's a really well written book. It's a good book. At the end of the day, that it is a really, really good book. I think 3.5 stars is on the low end. I would have said 4. But I really think it's a good book. One of my favorite sections is every time that Damien is just walking methodically through things, talking through it, and as we are examining things, as pace is slowing down, when we are at the not the apothecary, the lady who is in charge of dissecting the body. I don't remember her title now. When talking with her, that was so, it slowed down a lot. We got to learn about the world. I would have loved for us to spend more time there, more time him just talking with people and showing us the world this way by having people him testing out alibis and trying to confirm it. I really thought this book, and I guess this is what I always want from mystery, is I want the red thread meme, because I think those are so funny. I think they're interesting. This book does it to a degree, but it stops itself from going all the way detective noir-esque, because it has a rebellion it needs to contend with. The rebellion can be there, Ross can be a member of it, that's all perfectly fine. But have it be in the background. Now, there's also magic in this story that I want to talk about. And magic in this is you are a descendant of these 7 saints. And that decides what kind of magic you can do. And not everyone is a descendant that can do magic, not every descendant can do magic. And it's very much if you can do magic, you are important. If not, you are cannon fodder for the ongoing war. And it's interesting a premise, but it also kind of becomes a little one-noted. It runs into, I guess, the same problem like Harry Potter and stuff does with the houses. Everyone becomes a caricature of each other because you need to inhabit these few traits or whatever. You are of this saint, so your magic can only work with this. It's interesting. You can work with, you can do some cool stuff. MK Loftus doesn't. I think it would have been way more fun if, we had spent a lot more time interrogating a lot of these magic users, and all of them, because Damien can't do magic, is very hostile to him, even though he, in theory, outranks them. And then have Ross play bad cop and actually show that she can do magic, she can do the smithing magic, so she can control metal and stuff. So have her use it to not torture, but scare. And that would be super interesting then to have a good cop, bad cop vibe going on here. Where instead of it being an act, it's an actual thing. They are literally, if Damon doesn't stop Ross, she will do it. I think that would have been way more interesting, way more fun, and we would learn so much about the world just from people having to explain their alibis, and Damon and Ross have to go out and actively look and be like, alright, talk with people around there and look for clues and be like, alright, we can confirm this, we can deny this, and at the end of the day we have a lineup of 5 people or whatever, and then one of them is the bad guy. I think that would have been so much more interesting. But again, I think it's because I'm a sucker for it, because that's not what this book is trying to do. But I think it would have made the book more interesting. But for what it does, I think it does it really, really well. I talked a lot about how I would have changed it, but really it is a interesting enough plot. The world is interesting. The constant war in the background is they keep constantly talking about it. They are constantly discussing what to do in the future. They are at each other's throats constantly. They are actively doing stuff. And at the end of the day, I'm just glad for a murder mystery we don't have passive characters. We have active, working. Should you read this first book in the, what's it called, 7 Faceless Saints series? I would say yes. There is one more book, which is the Disciple of Chaos, and I don't know if there's a plan for the next one. I'm currently trying to look. It does not seem. It does not seem. I think it's a duology only. That's fine. But yeah, I really think you should read this one. I think it's interesting. I think it's fun. I think MK Love did a great job with it. I think it's a great young adult but dark book. It is very dark for young adult, and that's great. So yeah, I really think you should read it. Now, next up we're gonna talk about some dwarves and some dwarven stuff. So leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more. Goodbye.